What's up, guys? This is Z-House from Gun Gamers, and I'm here with...
Lutz.
And I'm Jim, but these guys call me Daddy.
Oh, yeah. So, today we're going to be talking about MilSim West specifically. I know we don't harp on that topic enough on the channel. No, we never talk about MilSim West games. But we're going to be talking about something that I think is worth talking about, and that is our experiences on both NATO and Militia RUSFOR side. Because I don't think a lot of people realize that playing these two sides is different, right?
It is.
Yeah.
It's completely different for me.
Yeah, it's very different. And also, the side that's easier to do for your first game might not be the side you're thinking. So let's just get right into that. So first of all, Militia and RUSFOR and NATO, like, what's our experience? How many games have we been to?
So if I'm doing the math, let's go through this, Jim, because you and I have been to all the same.
All right, what kind of...
We did
Raid on
Rostov.
Raid on Rostov.
That was NATO. We did... What was next? Was Balkar next?
No,
Nope,
Caspian
Gap.
Caspian Gap.
So also NATO. Mm-hmm. Then we did... Then it was Balkar.
Balkar Ridge, the first one.
Which was NATO again. Then we did...
So we did 3 NATOs, and then we decided to switch
And then we decided to switch it up. We went to Caspian Breakout as Militia.
Yeah, that was Militia.
And then we did Balkar Surge as NATO. And then back to
Militia for Spearhead
Saratov. So 6 with 4 NATO, 2 Militia.
Yeah, and I missed Balkar Ridge and I missed Raid on Rostov. So I've done 4 and 2 NATO, 2 Militia. So we've got some good experience on both ends of it. And first of all, which side is easier to us and why? Also, bear in mind, this is our experience. Your experience may vary depending on what platoon you're in, who's your cadre, what your squad is doing. But
the field.
And the field. But in general, which have we had an easier time on?
For those 6 named games that we've been to, I think playing as Militia or the RUSFOR side has just been easier. The biggest one I'd say is because every one of the games we've been to with it, RUSFOR's been on defense. Mm-hmm. They usually generally have had a shorter ruck. They've been able to set up earlier in the day. They ruck in shorter. They set up. They wait for NATO to destroy themselves on insertion, and then they start fighting. Whereas NATO starts in the pitch black, fucks themselves up, and this is including us. We did 4 of them.
Oh, yeah.
Fuck myself up. And I'm like, let's get them, and you're like already half dead and you like broke your leg. So that's like night 1. So I think for your first time, I think RUSFOR, specifically Militia. So for the rest of this, I think for the purposes, whenever we say Russian or RUSFOR, we're talking Militia. We've never done
the main
RUSFOR
difference
group.
between main body RUSFOR is that you're like wearing a real Russian impression kit.
You're cooler than us.
Yeah, you're cooler than us. But now I do want to mention that Shally Sweep just happened, and apparently Russia actually had a really hard time at that game.
Right.
And NATO crushed it. Yeah.
And that's why I was saying for our experiences at those games, that's what we've had.
But I think NATO had like a huge turnout of like a lot of really organized group. And I hear that from what I heard that RR didn't have as many people who were able to make it. So like the core Russian group was kind of scattered.
Gotcha.
That's what I'm hearing now. If you were there or you were at the game on one side or the other, feel free to correct me. But I think that Shally Sweep, from what I hear, is the hardest time RUSFOR has had.
Should I ask the question that everyone on social media has to ask after every MilSim West?
Who won?
Who won, though? Josh, answer for us. Who won?
If you were going to tally all the points...
the points of MilSim West, who won the game?
Yeah. MilSim West is like, whose line it is it anyway? Whose line it is?
Yeah, the points don't matter, and the rules are half made up.
Yeah.
But in a good way.
Yeah.
It's...
So
right.
NATO, you would argue, is more physically intense.
Absolutely. I think so, yes.
Absolutely. I mean, that's been my experience at both games. You move a lot more as NATO.
And then it's just the organization is way higher, too.
It's a much more strict command structure than the Russian side.
Oh, they definitely could.
The Russian side is way more informal, especially with the militia groups. They're like, you just kind of...
Yeah, the militia group is very freewheeling. Like, we were,
like
as a
they
squad, able to act autonomously, basically.
Like, yeah, we any of the ones that we've gone to as militia, we've come up and we go up to cadre and we're like, hey, we heard there's some people over here. Can we send, like, a recon team to watch? Can we go send an assault group? Can we do this, that, the other? And they're like, yeah, sure, do whatever. On NATO, they're like, no, there is a plan. Your platoon will do this. And so you follow that. And it usually does okay, but sometimes it's, like, too formal, I've seen. But if we want to go into individual games, that's where that's...
Yeah, and
yeah, every individual game is different in that one.
Yeah.
It's all planned different by a different dude with different leaders all through the command structure.
Yeah, but from what I've seen, NATO, you really have to be on the attack constantly.
Yes.
Like, NATO will end up on defense maybe once for one firefight throughout the game when, like, RUSFOR pushes on their on a PB or something.
Most notably, and I'm going to disclaimer this with one more thing, is Eric kind of touched on it, but this is our experience for our platoon. So, like, every time we have these discussions or we post something up online, we're like, oh, this is how, at, like, Balcar Ridge, for us, our perception as NATO was we went out, we attacked. We didn't get, besides little probing attacks, there weren't a lot of big, massive movements on our patrol base until the last day. And then, I'm not going to lie, they fucking killed us. But we were so tired and so wet. Like, I'm laying there hiding behind Jim's dead body, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. I'm so tired. Just let me die.
And I'm like, then, you better duck, man. That grenade's coming for us. You see it?
And then a grenade hit me in the face, and that blew up on us, and that was the end of Balcar Ridge. So when people are like, we crushed you, I'm like, yeah, at the end, you totally did. But for the rest of the game, to us anyway, we were on the attack for 40 hours of 48.
I was going to say, the 36 hours prior, we just had them on their heels the whole time.
Which is...
Did 3 giant movements all Saturday, company-sized
movements. And I think that's an important thing to bear in mind, is that the perception of the game changes so much on either side. Because...
Oh, yeah, that's the roller coaster effect you were talking about, right?
I'll get into that. But there's a perception difference with the game. Like, Militia and RUSFOR will have... Their main thing is, okay, how much of the AO... can we freely move around?
Yes.
That's the way they measure control. Whereas NATO measures control of how many objectives did we push RUSFOR out of,
how many
and
did
then
we hold
step
at the
to the
end?
next one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're kind of thinking, well, we're pushing RUSFOR to their next position, whereas RUSFOR is like, well, we can move over the rest of the AO where NATO isn't, so we control the rest of the AO. And it's so different, and that's where the ambiguity comes in that I think MilSim West cultivates intentionally of who won, and they never answer, because the whole point is that the meme war then ensues, and everyone's talking about the game, and it markets to the next one, and everyone wants to go back and kill them for the next one. I think that's intentional. I think the cadre know exactly what they're doing.
It's working on me, man. I gotta be honest.
So bad. So, like, to give you an anecdote with that, was Balcar Surge. So, from our perception, we were first platoon, right?
Yeah, we were first platoon.
So we're NATO, first platoon, and from our perception, we had a hard time the first day and a half pushing, but we were consistently pushing.
Yeah.
That first night,
and then end of day 2.
Yeah,
like we
got up on the ridge. It was a little rough, but they came around us, some attacks, but nothing crazy. We held our patrol bases. We pushed. To our perception, we would leave a patrol base and move to the next one. The idea was to keep one central big base.
Yeah.
And we did that. And so for us, we got to the top of the ridge night 1. We walked all the way down it through the op, and at the end, we had punched them out of multiple PBs, and we felt like we had owned that. We got it. But the Russians were like, well, as you moved, we just moved in behind you and kept being open to walk. So they're like, so we won. And we're like, but it felt like we were doing really well. And they're like, no, we did really well. And that's why everyone's like, fuck you, I won.
Yeah, and I think that's actually a perspective you get when you've played on both sides. I think that's interesting. Now, we've talked about that and that perception. What about kits? Which team is easiest to set up for?
So it's interesting when you say easiest. Because, let's be honest, a lot of airsofters, especially in the U.S., love to be tryhards. Especially their first time going to MilSim West. They're like, I've got all the multicam. I'm fucking Ranger Elite. I got this. So they're like, I'm going NATO because I have all the NATO gear and I don't want to look like a ragtag piece of shit. And then they get there and they're like, holy shit, plate carriers are stupid.
I poured sand into mine. It weighs 30 pounds.
This was a poor choice.
Yeah.
40 hours later, I don't have it back.
Whereas RUSFOR, I think it's an easier kit to get. But I think Militia, sorry. But I think people put too much thought into it. Like my Militia kit, I'd played as Militia before for Saratov. That was our most recent one we went to as a group. So I'd played Militia for one game already. I had done 4 other games as NATO. I had a pretty good sense of what I need for gear and equipment to get through a game. So I'm like laughing and I'm like, oh shit, last minute we're going to wear black stuff because we're going to be Kingsguard apparently. And when we did that, I'm like, I'm going to buy a $30 vest on Amazon because that's fucking funny. And it worked fine. Like, no issue.
I wore a satchel.
The majority of the game, Jim and I left with, you see this red? That's the colors of our shoulders and our chests because we walked around in fucking tank tops with no vest on for like 18 hours of the game. Yeah. I was like, I'm just going to throw a mag in my pocket and like nods on my head. We're good.
Yeah. I wore a satchel.
Yes.
And like black cargo pants and a black shirt and then an Adidas track jacket.
I think I saw somebody cut off the top of a milk jug and use it as a dump pouch.
It absolutely will work.
Yeah. Like, Militia is stupid easy to set up for. Because all you need for regular Militia, we wore black because we were asked to, but all you need for regular Militia is
your goggles,
Woodland or OD.
Yeah.
And then, like, whatever shitty gear you can scrounge together. We're a fucking lunchbox. Like, you're supposed to look Militia.
Everyone's like, but I gotta look like, it's like...
I can't tell you how badass I felt in just my tank top at an M60.
Right, bring it.
I feel badass in a lot of
I feel like it's the Achilles heel of milsimmers, which, God forbid me, I am one. But everyone's like, I have to do... Even when they're like, I'm just building a kit, it's my own thing. It's always an impression. So they're like, oh, I'm Militia. So they go online and they look up Chechen Militia. And they're like, I gotta look like this guy exactly. And I'm like, no. Just grab hodgepodge. Go to like a surplus store, the biggest one you can find, or go online and like list from cheapest to most expensive and buy the first 5 fucking pouches. And you are good. Like,
and then grow a mustache.
Mustaches are critical.
Yes.
So, and then like in terms of weapon choice, Militia is super easy because you don't have any attachments to worry about. I don't have to carry extra optics batteries because I don't have shit for optics.
Yes.
You don't have to give a shit about any of that.
No, it's fucking great.
Whatever you want.
Yeah.
You want to bring 7 pistols? Go for it.
And also, I mean, if you're brand new to airsoft, maybe it doesn't seem like that's cheap, but getting an AK, like a base, just normal AK, like a Cyma.
That is honestly a good investment.
It is a cheap-ass investment.
And you can get a Cyma for the same price as your game ticket.
Here's what you do. You get a Cyma you pick up a steel Cyma AK for what, 150 to 170 depending?
Yeah. Put a new hop-up bucking into it and downgrade the spring if you need to.
Go on
and you're good for like
somewhere
5 years of AK use.
Go buy yourself a shitload of AK mags because they're all out there.
Yeah.
And you are done. That's it. It's like less than $200 and you've got a full AK set up.
Even if you have an M4, because you can use M4s.
Yes. Just like
take off all the attachments.
All of them.
And
this is going to be uncomfortable for people. There was a time when there were plastic foregrips on M4s.
Yeah.
Put those back on. The ones that are covered in dust in your closet, pull those out, get rid of your Mark 18 rail, you fucking tool, and put the plastic on.
I mean, you don't have to make your stuff look try-hearted in order to fit in with the Militia guys.
Right.
In fact, all that stuff stripped off will get even more looks because, like, what are you doing?
Yes. Or you can be Jim and have the stripped down Car 15 and then be like, haha, but I put a thermal scope on it.
And you can use nods and shit on Militia. But what I did is I bought a skull crusher for mine so that I didn't have a high-speed helmet. I'm like, no, fuck it, I don't have a helmet. I got a skull crusher, and I look like Sam Fisher, but
I went with
it worked.
ACH with a Chinese black
Yeah,
cover.
basic bitch helmets work perfect.
That had the nod, you know, the like little flap on it for the nods.
Mm-hmm.
It was set here. And I'm like, there's no mount in the world. It's on the top of the helmet. And they're like, nah, it's fine. It's a good pattern. Garbage. Chinese garbage.
It sounds like the theme is if you have no gear or anything like that, go Militia.
Go Militia.
It's a lot
You have
easier
the
than you
kit
would
for
think.
NATO, then come on over.
Yeah.
Just get ready to wreck.
And that's
One thing I would encourage you to do for NATO, though, is get with a group that knows what they're doing. Because I think a lot of first-time players go on NATO, and a lot of, like, randos get put together because they're, like, just, you know, regular NATO. But I don't want to sound unkind or elitist.
Please do.
But a lot of first-time MilSim West players are not quite prepared for what they're in for.
Right.
And that's where you see a lot of the washouts. Whereas, you know, you go with a group that knows what they're doing, like, I'm not going to say our group.
When you say knows what they're doing, I would clarify that as not like they're the guys, they're the best.
No.
We're talking like they've been to at least like one or two MilSim Wests on that faction. Mm-hmm. They've got a decent idea of what to expect.
They've slept outside without a tent before.
And when they tell you need a tarp or some kind of reasonable shelter because it's going to rain, and you're like, I'm good with a thin poncho and I'm going to lay against a tree. Don't do that. Listen to their experience.
Yeah.
That was Balcar Ridge, 90% of the washouts.
Yeah.
Okay.
Another thing I would say is, honestly, I think NATO is at its best because we were attached to Blue Diamond Group and the Germans who were on First Platoon as well.
Great people.
Great dudes that we ran with at Balcar Surge. And then when we're on NATO, like, you know, we're pretty cool with a lot of the Grom guys, though. We usually end up fighting against them, you bastards.
Bunch of bastards.
No, we love you, dudes. But yeah, if you can get in with one of those impression groups, like, a lot of those guys are just great guys, and they all have been to a lot of games. Like, a lot of them will build their kits specifically for these games.
I just
That's what
thought
I did last time.
Yeah.
I just thought of a piece of kit that no one thinks of for MilSim West first-timers that I think is a great piece of kit. It's going to be cheesy. Bring humility. When you show up, and like this starts even on social media months out from the game, when they start making rosters and you're like, listen here, this
I'm
may be my
super
first
cool.
It's my first MilSim West, but I've done MilSims. I went to Black Sheep 6 years ago. I know what I'm doing. Yeah, no, just like go and trust other people's opinions and their experiences.
And that goes for both factions.
Yeah. Even if they're like, I see people all the time that are like my age, like I'm in my 30s, and they're like, I'm not going to listen to some fucking 22-year-old. He may have had the worst game last time, and he knows what you need to make it not the worst game this time. Like, just listen to him.
You brought up earlier about, or one of you two brought up earlier about command structure for NATO versus Militia. What specifically is different about the command structure? Is it like who's involved? What makes the two command structures different?
I feel like Mr. Veteran should answer.
I will field this question.
Yes.
I was platoon leader for every single game we went to except for this last one, I think, right?
Nope. The last two, I don't think you were. Nope. Yeah, the last two.
Yeah, the last
Yeah,
two.
you weren't PL
Okay.
for Surge.
Nope.
So 4 times platoon leader.
So you were PL at fucking Caspian Breakout. So you were PL
Yeah.
on Militia once too.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, peer pressure's a hell of a drug.
It is.
Especially when you know what you're doing. It's terrible.
Terrible.
So the command structure differences. I was always very impressed with the NATO command structure. They always like to involve their guys. They always have veterans that know American style of...
Yeah, because all the cadre
leadership.
at MilSim West, either side, are always veterans.
Yeah, but with the Russian side, they try to Russian it up a lot. So they'll use that same similar style because they're all honestly still Americans, but they'll add a lot of flavor to it. So it's a lot more laid back. So it's not nearly as strict, and usually the plan's not as well thought out. No offense to Russian side. But
I also feel like, and this can be a positive or negative depending on what you're trying to get out of the game, I feel like the Russian command structure every time we've gone has made their tactical choices, unless like they're getting overwhelmed and they feel like they need to get morale up, 90% of their decisions are for the lulz, which is great. Like, I'll give you a for instance from Saratov. We had set up an LPOP on a hill, and we're like spotting targets with a thermal and a night vision scope, and it was fucking great. We're giving them like positions. We're listening to command on the net, and they're like, oh, okay, how's it going out there, guys? You've been there for a while. And they're like, yeah, we can't push into this last building. We're trying. He goes, you know what? If you want, just call it, and we'll say it's a successful raid instead of a failed assault. I'm like, I love this. So we're like, fuck it. We'll pull out successful raid. It was perfect. Look how well it went. Like, so good.
Yeah, you know, and I would agree with that. Like, there are definitely... I think the Russian side is a lot more... We keep using laid back, and it can be a positive or a negative depending on what you're looking for. Personally, I fucking love it.
Yeah, I think like the green beans do a little bit more.
They get a bit more hard.
Yeah.
So some of the that's the balance that kind of like the RR groups have.
Yes.
Like RR, like those dudes like do a lot of shit for the lulz. Those dudes are like crazy motherfuckers. But like then at the same time, they'll do like crazy ass decisions, but they'll fucking commit to whatever they're doing.
Yes.
It's like, hey, we're just gonna go raid NATO for the fucking lulz, but we're actually gonna armor up and throw hundreds of dollars of fucking tag-in grenades and just go fucking do it as hard as possible.
Yeah.
And I think that's great. I love that shit.
I'm going to give the other side of that. Oh. As much as I do love that shit, the thing that really gets me going, though, is actual planning it. Like, if anybody gets really into the immersion of NATO, I know you guys hate that word.
No,
I don't hate that
I love
word.
my immersions. I love it rated on me.
But if you're trying
to your immersions all over my face.
I think the best example of it was one... Well, actually, every time we've ever jumped in with NATO, we've always jumped out of helicopters, out of mock planes or something like that. And it's exactly how it is when you're jumping into a AO in the middle of the night. We're like, who are you? What are you doing? What are you doing? Sit right there. Don't move. And then,
so you like the paranoia.
That was the first part. And then the second part, we actually find our objective and plan it out. And say, this fire team is going to cover this via base of fire. You guys are going to come over here and cover this sector via base of fire. We're going to have a breacher team go up in this building. They're going to have grenades. They're going to have machine guns ready to go. On the count of go, we're all going to get in this position, and we're going to assault the shit out of that base.
Now that
that was in the middle of Caspian Gap.
Yes.
You guys remember?
Yeah, I do remember.
Now that you're saying it and I'm remembering things, Gap was, like, we may not have done as well as I wished, but they put up a good fight, and they had a city center. Solid. Good job, Russia. That was awesome. Good on you.
That was a fucking great game.
That was a rough game, but it was actually...
Everyone who went to Gap, leave a fucking comment on how awesome that game was.
I mean, everybody remembers going up that subway in a pitch black, and we're like, I can't see over there. Who wants to go first?
Like,
I think I went first a lot of places because I was just a fucking idiot.
Thank God
straight
you
up,
get killed.
thinking about that game, especially like the first night, as soon as we... Like, our group anyway, like, our squad and our platoon, once we got our guys, we got everything organized, we felt like a well-oiled machine. Then, like, this part goes here. This squad, like you said, everyone knew their position, took it, it was solid. If there was a problem, it was explained, everything worked. Whereas, at Saratov, we worked like fucking, I don't know, like a blob that rolled across the field. And it worked. But it just felt like you're just...
It wasn't planned.
Yeah, it wasn't like little hit, we're moving, advancements. It was just like, bleh. I don't know how better to explain that besides with that.
A blob.
It worked.
Yeah.
It worked because at the end of
weren't an army.
Saratov, we had him on the fucking ropes.
Yes, absolutely.
It worked, but it's definitely a different feeling.
Yeah.
It's a way different feeling. But yeah, so that's why I like going NATO a lot of the times. That's why we've done it 4 times. Because I love the actual tactics behind it. I love the guys that know those tactics that are leading you into that. Like every time you work with another platoon and they're going to hold in position and we're going to flank around, that is the coolest shit ever.
I mean, Caspian Breakout, I feel like RUSFOR had a better or different level of company planning. But even that, like, to a certain extent, was not
everybody was part of the plan.
Yeah, it was not the same level of plan, like micromanagement that NATO had.
Like, NATO at...
I wouldn't call it micromanagement. I would say attention to detail, not at the lowest level.
Okay.
At Gap, I remember they literally called in everyone from squad leader up. they're like, we're going to do a briefing for NATO. We're like, okay. And we go in and we find out, because it's like a disaster training site, that they have a model, like a table, 3D scale model of the entire
We call it a terrain model kit for
was
those in the service.
fucking awesome. We go in, Jim and Coulter are over there with half chubs. I'm just watching that.
I think they caught me on camera over there. I was just
just like, oh.
Where are you going?
It was pretty good. It was a good amount of like, you really felt like you knew the plan from the top down, which if you read the tax op, read the tax op. So
And the op board.
Yeah, and if you read those, it says like, you're supposed to know from this level down to you. And I felt like I genuinely did.
Yeah.
At other ones, I've been like, I don't know what the fuck we're doing. Can I go over here? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, all right, cool. So,
Yeah, sometimes you feel like we're going to walk into the woods that way. Yeah, get ready.
So, is it fair to say that if you like a little bit more of a chilled out experience, RUSFOR and Militia might be a little bit of a better fit for you?
Absolutely.
Or if you're still getting used to working in like a super strict chain of command, then, maybe that's something that might be a decent
I
fit.
think so.
But if you like attention to detail level planning, if you like being part of a more managed kind of thing, and if you like having a specific job all the time and a little less autonomy, I would say.
Yes.
But a little bit more task, then maybe NATO is a bit more to your taste.
I would argue that NATO is mother may I. It's like asking permission before you do something. Whereas RUSFOR, it's almost encouraged to beg for forgiveness after you made a poor choice.
And that's because
This is real gun gamers right here. We're out of beer.
Real gun gamers.
we had an alcohol emergency.
It's real bad. We still have another video to film after this.
Yeah. You might just come up with a stupid ass idea. Do another one.
Can you please like put some of this shit in like the
yeah.
bloopers after?
Oh, yeah.
I was saying how it seemed like NATO is ask for permission, Russia is beg for forgiveness, and you said from your level it seems like that. But
that it was from the lower level, because
Yeah.
always at the lower level you're like, let's go get this thing right now. You see, I can see it, let me get it. And then really from the higher level, we're all trying to coordinate. It's like, let's all get it at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
That way we have the best chance of success. And we just haven't gotten to that let's go yet.
yeah, I've also seen people just get real antsy in their pantsy.
Yeah,
like when we were doing our
Car 1, when we finally saw somebody after
Not
12 hours.
Not only that, I was thinking Saratov while we did our LPOP, and we're like, oh man, everyone's getting in position. This is good. And like, Jim and I are literally looking through optics. I think Corey's up there with binoculars. We're like, okay, you see these like 3 guys by the car? Yep. Like we're marking each other, making sure we see everything. And then we just see 2 of the 3 guys of these NATO turn and bail 180 degrees behind them. The other one is just starts shooting, and then you just hear blank fire and grenades flying, and they're like,
Revolution!
yeah, and we're like, apparently the assault has begun. And like, no one on OPCOM had given that order, but it happened. And God bless the Russian forces. They pushed it well.
They heard the sound,
They're like,
and they went.
There's noise, fuck it, I guess we're going.
And if you guys have never been on the hilltop in the beginning of these attacks, just the flashes, the grenades, like the yelling that you hear,
It's
the
so
blank
great.
fire.
It's so much fun.
I felt scared for the lives of the people down there. Like legit. Let's bring it back.
We've talked about kits. We've talked about command structure. We've talked about total amount of effort.
Should we just go on an opinion? Like,
What about
which like more and
scenario
why?
situations?
Well, we talked about how RUSFOR is usually on defense.
Do you have a thing to mention?
Yeah. Okay. So
Go.
So hold on. So scenario and situation, RUSFOR and Militia versus NATO. Jim has something to say. So what do you have to say?
Well, every time, not every time,
Most
times, NATO's like overall on the offensive. We're coming in. We're gonna stop Russia, and Russia's always so yeah, offensive, defensive. But at the same time, it's I don't know. It's tough to describe, really, because it's not offense and defense. It's
Attempt
like
to describe.
it's home ground and
Invader?
invader. There you go. So Russia's never really invaded. Like they've done it a couple of times on the West Coast, but on the East Coast, it's a different scenario. They're trying to think of like almost nationally story.
Yeah, like each area in the country that they run games represents a different geography of the Russian and U.S. war.
Yeah, so I always found that a little bit interesting. how they did that.
I would love to go to Washington, but I can't afford a plane ticket, Josh. All right? I just want to go out there.
Oh, it's good to laugh at pain.
If I didn't laugh at myself, I'd be dead. So
that is interesting, though, that, Russia does end up having, like, kind of the home field advantage.
they do.
Because they always got that, like, huge silo. There's like, all right, let's defend this thing. And there's you got to come and get us.
Not only that, I would argue that they get the advantage of several hours of recon. Mm-hmm. At least, again, for us over here on the East Coast and the games we've gone to, Russia gets several hours of recon that at least a platoon or two usually are doing well ahead of NATO even deploying. Mm-hmm. NATO's back, making sweet plans, tugging each other off, and taking naps, which is all smart. It's all fun. But Russia's out there like, oh, so I had like this Google Maps image, but like, oh shit, this is where this actually is. Or this is like way better high ground than I thought. Or this is actually a non-defensible position. And they get to kind of see the whole, shudder saying it, they get to see the whole map before the game starts. I hate when people call it that.
And Russia does have a lot more flexibility with their movement.
Yes.
Which, we found out when we went down this one road at Saratov and, like, through just a squad level, really quick, diversionary attack, temporarily, totally disrupted the NATO supply line.
Straight up, this was the best discussion we've ever had. Well, first of all, I just have to add this because I want to see Eric get mad. Eric has a PKM with
that was all fucked up.
3,000 rounds. We're going slow and steady because we assume this is an open road. No one's. It's like there's a main supply route that they're kind of trying to assault up, and like who was it? Not Russians. The GMR guys are holding this building. NATO's pushing on that, but they haven't gone up this other northern trail, and we're like, okay, whatever. We'll take it with our group of like 10 guys that had night vision. We're like, we'll go down there, we'll fuck shit up, and see what we can do. So we're going slow, assuming there's no way NATO hasn't pushed this yet, right? They hadn't, but we're all going slow and steady. Eric got PKM, he looks so cool. And then he runs into a bush and opens the fucking latch on his box mag and loses 2,500 of 3,000 rounds.
That happened.
Eric's mad as hell. Everyone else is concerned, and I am laughing like a little schoolgirl on the corner because it's the funniest shit I've ever seen. It was just so ridiculous. I'm like, I don't even know what to do about this. So anyway, we continue down this whole road, and we're going slow as fuck. And the whole time we're discussing, like, I think I was technically leading this assault. I don't remember.
I don't even remember. I think
we're all just kind of autonomous. We're going and we're talking, and I'm like, have we really seen no NATO yet? Like, where else have they gone? Are they in the woods? We haven't heard shit. We haven't heard a stick break. We haven't heard a voice. We get down, we're hearing all the blank fire, all the explosions. We finally start hearing NATO just to our right, which is like south of us. And we're like,
by where they were assaulting the building like, GMR was holding.
No one has hit this crossroads. How is this possible?
Yeah.
And so we're like, fine. We set up in a drainage ditch and just started shooting everything. It slowed their whole assault. It was fucking glorious.
It was pretty funny.
This is part of I feel NATO gets that tunnel vision and they're like, this is the plan. And I feel like someone on one of those platoons or a squad leader or someone should have looked at this trail and been like,
hold security on that shit. Go up a little.
Why aren't we going up this? It turns out the next day they did.
And they went around our position.
We, being stupid, had posted no one there. I'm still not sure how that even, whatever. That's
I love you just criticize them for, let's put somebody on this thing.
Yeah.
And we didn't do it.
We equally were stupid because we were like, whatever, we did our harassing mission. And then the next day they're like, fuck you, we walked around you and took your main buildings. And we're like, oh man, like, buildings are hard to attack. Shit.
Yeah, like, we have to sleep outside now. God damn it.
Also, objective-wise, I'm going to call attention to it. I'm going to do it because this drives me nuts. Taking a building and having electricity and running water is cool, but it does not auto-win a game. Secondly, I don't go to MilSim West to have running water and electricity. If I wanted that, I'd go to a bed and breakfast and pretend that Eric's my wife. I'm not going to do that.
It's fun to pretend.
Like, I go to these games, the way we described Saratov at the end, we were trying to discuss like how we felt about it, what everyone's thoughts were. And we're like, pretty much MilSim West for our group is like a shitty camping experience with some airsoft thrown in, and you're just hanging with your bros for a weekend. And we're like, yeah, but that's great. That's what we want.
Yeah,
Honestly, dawn of that third day.
Yeah, and you know what?
Laying across, super soaked on the pavement, no cover.
There's no dry
with
socks
5
left.
MMGs.
All
Laid up on
pointed
bipods
one
on
way.
the road.
Eric,
It's like,
can you
where
please-
we got
Oh, I'll cut that in.
Can
I'll
you please
cut that
pause
pic
this
in.
video and put that picture?
Oh yeah, I'll do that. and
Good
that is
editing right there.
all right. So overall, which MilSim West experience do you prefer and why?
Jim, start.
I can't start.
Okay, I'll start. I feel...
Or if you don't prefer one and prefer to alternate, why?
Okay, I'll give you that. So I'll kind of give a modified answer on that. I like both. And I like the idea of right now, the last 2 years we've done this, and
We've alternated.
God willing, put it in the comments. Let's use peer pressure. My wife lets me go to 2 games with a new infant. I would like to continue going to one NATO, one RUSFOR every year. It gives you both sides of it. You get to fuck around with both kits. It's a lot of fun. And you get to see... Fuck, Corey!
Yeah, hold on.
All right, do that now.
Just
Just stand in the back and drink while we're doing this. Like, we'll just cut in the middle. It'll just be funny. Just silently drink back there while I continue my thought. All right, ready?
All right, back to May. Here we are.
Okay. So, like I said, I like both. I like both NATO and RUSFOR. I like doing one of each because you get to use both kits, you get to use both guns, you get to get some of the structure, get some of the funny, get all of that. It's great. That being said, I think honestly, and I know this goes against most of the gun gamers' thoughts. I'm sorry, I can't handle the fact that you're breathing heavily from like humping Corey still. All right, sorry.
Calm it down.
My opinion goes against a lot of gun gamers' thoughts, but I honestly like NATO more, I think.
Just because of the structure?
I like the structure. When we had... Why can't I think of his name right now? What's his name? From Balkar Surge.
Shrum?
No. Wait, oh no, it was Ridge. Balkar Ridge. Who was
Opie?
No. Nope, our CO.
Fucking...
Goldenbeski.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I said that way Russian. He's not.
Yes.
He was
Gold
NATO.
basket. Dude was fucking hilarious and an outstanding CO. Probably the most fun CO I've ever had on NATO.
That was the best
definitely.
opening to a game
Like,
I've ever been to.
everyone's going, and like, we, at that point, we hadn't played as RUSFOR yet, so we're still all NATO. And at the beginning, he brings the whole company together, and he's like, I'm sick of these fucking Russians. They're dumb shit about dogs. They're dumb shit about that. Blah, blah. And he's like, NATO is fuck! NATO is fuck! And everyone got super pumped, and it was great. And it went through the rest of the game. Everyone had a great time. But between the structure, it's just a lot more organized for my old man in Airsoft, old man ass. I like structure. Without structure, I just feel like I am flying by the seat of my pants and I got figured out, and that makes me uncomfortable. So.
And you know what? And I also like alternating. I like having both experiences. I like doing both things because I like variety. I mean, fuck, I'll go play like totally Speedsoft style at River City Airsoft and then go to MilSim West the next fucking weekend. So I love me some variety. So I like playing both ways. If I were to state a preference, though, I think I probably prefer Militia a little bit. Just because, and I might be a little biased because both times I've been at Militia, I've had my fucking PKM, I've had a great fucking time. And, but when I go Militia and when I, am with like some of the RR dudes and we just fucking do crazy shit, I like having a little bit more autonomy and I like having a little bit more just, I just feel like it's more of like kind of a chill soft kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And I like that, but I also like having, the crazy ass moving, doing crazy shit NATO. And I feel like another NATO game where I'm better prepared, because Balkar Surge I did great. Balcar Surge, I was really well prepared. Yeah, that was
great.
great. Another NATO game like that might sway my perspective. But as of right now, I like the little bit more relaxed atmosphere of Militia. I like doing NATO as well because, like, I mean, fuck it, it's fun. But what do you prefer?
I honestly prefer NATO. Like I know gun gamers are all about the lulls, and all that good stuff. But what really attracted me to MilSim in the first place was an actual experienced leadership that's not just here to play a weekend of airsoft. We're like, all right, 5 guys go over here, 5 guys go over here. We actually have platoons worth. We have 30 dudes, and then there's another set of 30 dudes over there that's led by another guy who's like an E6 or an E7 that's been over to Iraq and Afghanistan. They know what they're doing.
The Sandbox? I'm sorry.
I don't know what you're like.
I mean, upset you.
They know what they're doing. And, yeah, that's what I actually prefer.
Fair enough.
But if we're going to run Militia, I'm going to come with you guys.
Yeah, I'm not going to not do it.
Because I think ultimately, like, the message here is, like, we might have, like, our slight preferences, but honestly, like, either one's a good fucking time, right? I mean...
I've had great times on both sides.
Yeah, like, I can't
Great
really
times on both sides.
hate on either side. Like, I always have a good fucking time. And
Like another great memory is Firebase Judy. That was the
Firebase Judy was on
Firebase
Yeah, it was fucking
Judy.
awesome.
What a great time.
And getting shot by the fucking Grom dudes we drank with 2 days before. That was fucking hilarious. Alright, so that is going to do it for this video. Hopefully you found it interesting if you're looking at going to MilSim West games in the future, which I think all of us would recommend.
Go.
Definitely.
I mean...
If you can, you got to go.
Yeah, we love MilSim West. It's like
Plus,
one of our favorite
remember,
events.
every time you go, you're donating money to allow Josh Warren to continue shitposting on Gear Classifieds.
That is very important to
Please
me.
keep going.
All right. But yeah, so thank you very much for watching. I've been E-House.
What's
Jim.
And we will catch you in the next one. Peace.
Thank you for watching this video from Gun Gamers. We hope you enjoyed watching it as much as we enjoyed making it. Check the description below if you'd like to buy a t-shirt or a patch, and use the coupon code JUDY10 for 10% off of your next order at Amped Airsoft. Thank you again for watching, and praise Judy.